and welcome back to another episode of Over the Glass. I am your host, Jay.
And I'm Nessa. Oh, sorry.
So we've got a lot of shark stuff to talk about because if you have listened to us in the last couple of weeks, I've been on unhinged rants about people that don't follow the Sharks suddenly having very in-depth opinions that they should kind of keep to themselves because there's a lot to be happy about. There's not a lot to be happy about in terms of no, this team is not going to the playoffs. That really if we somehow sniffed at the wild card this season, I would have been pleasantly surprised. I would have been excited, but do I care that they're not in the playoffs? No, because that's not what we're about right now. We're about a number of very exciting things that we've been able to be on this journey. We've been on a good run for several decades of great Sharks games, playoffs, all that good stuff. And now we're entering a new chapter in our franchise. And I think you kind of have to it's sad because we want to be out there like chasing the cup, but there's also some really great things to look forward to with all of these new prospects coming in, a different perspective to take on this team that we love so much. And that's kind of, I think, what we're going to kind of talk about today. So I wanted to start out so I didn't get to watch the game last night, but it looked like a very exciting time. A very exciting time because Cooley finally got his first win. This poor man, we have left him out to dry. He has carried the burden on his shoulders, and I get it, but then also, sweet baby, this team did not show up for you for those other games, but what looks like what happened last night's game is the Sharks really came out in a big way. I don't know where the Blues are in the standings, but they're definitely much higher in there. I think that they were one of the several teams that have been duking it out for those wild card slots out in the East. So they were coming in hoping that they could
Aren't
beat
the
us
Blues
up.
part of the West?
Are they?
I'm pretty sure they're part of the Western Conference.
Well,
that's why
there's a whole bunch of chaos going on right now with like these last couple of slots. Like I think the West is also, let's take a look.
because we play them in the Western Conference final.
That is true. Yes. So they are in the West. I think I might have gotten that mixed up with the Wings, who used to be in the West and now they're in the East. So the 2 wildcard slots are not claimed just yet, and then the third slot in the Pacific is not claimed. So the Blues are kind of sniffing there. They're several points behind Nashville for the wild card, and I think that's that's going to be their best bet to get into the playoffs. So they come in here, and most fan bases probably see the Sharks as like, yes, an easy win. Let's playoff hope stay alive. Well, we didn't allow them to do that to us. It did go into overtime, so they got the 1 point, but finally Cooley gets this win. We get this lovely interview afterwards with Hetty. You get to see the video footage of his family, his proud mom,
his weeping mother, as Randy says.
Yeah. And then on top of that, Eklund gets his first hat trick in the NHL. What a great way to end that game, on top of us getting to see Colin Graff in his first NHL appearance with a team that he decided to sign with after talking with 26 teams who
That's
wanted
wild.
this kid. And he went, nope, I want to be in teal. He
I
chose
wonder
us.
why. Ice time?
Well, we're gonna talk a little bit about that, Nessa, because I was chatting about the reasons why. Like, I haven't seen anything specifically from him. I've just seen that he just said that when he sat down with the front office with Mike Greer, he just felt like they had an honest conversation and he appreciated the honesty. Now, what Greer probably said is like, bro, we're not going to the playoffs, but you could be part of that future that helps us get there. And this kid, you know, being, I think, 2 years in a row, he's been in the Hobie Baker conversation in the collegiate level of this sport. So we were talking about it offline about how this kid was overlooked during his draft year, and so when he wasn't selected during that year, he decided to go the collegiate route, continue his professional journey. Made a great appearance for himself throughout those years, and now people are like, "Oh, this kid has got something. We're interested now." Well, too bad. He decided he wanted to be part of the Sharks. Now, from my perspective of why he probably chose us is I'm sure there were several playoff bound teams ready to go, ready to, you know, chase the cup in the mix and whatever. And that's great. You know, like that's exciting. That's somewhere that all these young guys hope to get to someday to win the cup. But for this kid to have such a great skill set, I kind of see him choosing us because he was put into the top 6. And before he got here, I was talking to some of my friends being like, he's going to get slotted in with Eklund. I can see him being on the wing with Eklund, and boom. He was with Eklund last night alongside Luke Cunnin. He didn't exactly do anything like monumental, but we're kind of expecting that, you know, he needs to get into the mix. He needs to, you know, get his feet wet at this level and whatever. But he was doing certain things where he's looking for the go ahead passes, opportunities, just getting the puck going, things like that. Like, you could tell that he was learning as he went along for the time that I was able to watch the game last night. And I think it's only going to get better. I think he's optimistic about being here because he can be one of those key players. He has big shoes or big skates to fill, and he wants to arise to that occasion. Versus being like, yeah, let me go to like a playoff bound team where he's probably going to get some ice time, but will he get ice time in the top 6? He's probably going to get slotted in the bottom 6. And maybe if he, you know, connects really well with some of like their superstars, he gets some time up in there. But last night he got some time, I believe on PP2. Would he get that on a playoff bound team? Who knows? It just seems like the opportunities are far more expansive with a team that's rebuilding, making a new name for itself, and is looking towards the young kids, the future, to drive that bus. So that's what I feel like is the reason why he chose us.
That would make sense. Also, I feel like these players pay a little bit more attention on the younger, like, okay, the younger players, I feel, pay more attention to the younger players in the league, right? Because they're either friends with them or they have connections, they know people, they went to school with them, whatever it was. So outside of the mainstream media who likes to shit on the Sharks, I feel like they actually understand what the Sharks are doing and the type of players or the type of team that Greer is trying to build, right? So maybe that excited him too. Like, oh, they have an Eklund, they have a Zetterlund, they have who else are we excited about? Cooley, like that's such a cute story. I'm so excited about that. Um, I don't know, like it could be one of those things where yes, he like the ice time obviously plays a big part in it, but maybe he actually sees the vision that Greer is seeing as well. Like this team is going to be good. I hope it will be good. Let's manifest it. This team is going to be great.
I think this team is doing much better than I had initially expected. And what I mean by that is like we don't really know what to expect. This is a new journey for us. Like we have not been in this position where we've had to say goodbye to, our many of our stars. We're having to put our trust in these new kids that are coming up and we have to grow with them. But I feel like one of the things that I said last night was that, it's a great moment for Sharks fans to soak in those little milestones last night. I mean, just even watching Cooley's interview with Hetty again, like, God, he was just like beaming. He just, he gets to play in front of his hometown crowd. I'm sure he's got outside of like his family, there's still probably people that, his neighbors, his family friends, they'll get to if he sticks around, next season, they get to come out and cheer him on. Like those are just like some great moments and great motivational bits for, specifically for Cooley. And we get to be a part of that, and in like in the past there's been excitement around, like we had, Timo, we had Hurdle, and those were like a couple of the homegrown guys that we got to see come up through the system and be a key player in the success of this team. But then the direction that the Sharks were going in for a long time, despite the fact that we were really competitive, is like you get these guys on the market, they come in and yeah, we're excited that like they're going to help us like win. But this is like such a great experience for us to now we get to grow with all of these young kids that are going to come up through the system, and they'll have to be a part of this because this is what we need to do. We can't go out and get like the way that we used to, because other teams are like, well, no, we need these guys, and they're not going to give us like the young kids, which is what we need to do. We've been like one of the older teams for like a while, and now we need to go in a different direction, and it's not going to come so much from direct trades to get these guys. We're going to have to draft them. We're going to have to go out and, get the kids that are coming out through the collegiate level. There's this other trade that we made recently, and I wish I could remember it at the moment, but like Greer and, his staff are doing a lot of like these little things that in the past couple episodes we've been kind of talking about when these media folks who don't directly follow the Sharks, it's frustrating to see their narrative around this franchise because there are really great things that are happening. And we're getting to see them, like we've gone through this tough season. Despite the fact that we know the agenda of the season, it is still really tough to see your team just go out there and they are not driving with one another, or maybe they're just getting like completely bulldozed. by a
Multiple 10
team.
game losing streaks.
Yeah, and it's like it's not fun. But then we have these moments where you can see where we're going. You can see the little lights at the end of the tunnel that you're like, these guys are only gonna get better for us, and you gotta believe it. I know it's hard to see
Trust the
some nights.
process.
Yeah, it's gonna, but I was saying the other day to a friend of mine that like I was totally wrong about Eklund at the beginning of the season. Not to say that I didn't think he was going to be, he was going to improve, he was going to get points and blah, blah, blah. But I did not see him taking the reins as like a leader. We couldn't have seen like Couture was going to be out for basically the whole season. We couldn't have seen that Hurdle would go down and then he'd eventually get traded. We couldn't have seen all those things. But despite all of that, despite all of like the injuries and movements that were made during the trade deadline, Eklund and Zetterlund have been one of the several guys in this roster who have stepped up and taken on that role that we wanted them to come in here and take on, but I felt like it wasn't going to happen as quickly as it has.
Yeah.
And so that's been really exciting from my perspective.
Yeah. And you mentioning Zetterlund, I think their bromance, Zetterlund and Eklund, it's so cute. Like that clip. I don't know if you retweeted it or commented on it or whatever, where like Zetterlund is hopping towards Eklund after he scored last night. Adorable. I love them. I love them
Yeah,
so
I
much.
said, I said, oh my God, is he dancing over to hug Eklund? So silly.
So wholesome. I'm really excited. Like I wasn't expecting these kids to step up this soon either. And I'm gonna be honest with you, it's been really hard for me to keep up with the games as of late because I've been trying to keep busy. And neither of us watched the game last night. So I don't know what happened. I had to catch some highlights, but like Eklund, I don't know. Like when we drafted him, I was excited. Seventh overall, his draft year. People were speaking highly of him. He's a great kid, very humble. Like watching highlights, it's like, yeah, this guy has a lot of potential. And then he comes onto the team. He makes the team this season, stays, and you could see him struggling like in the beginning, but ever since like Hurdle went down, you started seeing him stepping up more and more. And now that Hurdle's gone, ugh, it's, I'm really glad he was able to play with Hurdle because I'm sure he learned a lot from him. Hurdle seemed like a really great leader in multiple ways in the locker room, on the ice, whatever. So I'm gonna give credit to Hurdle for whatever that he taught Eklund, but he's really stepped up here in the last few games. I think I saw, was it Corey that mentioned that he has like 21 points in the last 27 games or something? That's pretty good. Like he has 40, yeah, 21 in his, yeah. He has 40 points on the season. This team sucks. Like we understand this team is not good in any means. There are some good parts of the season that you can catch if you actually pay attention to the team, but this team is not good. For a kid who's this is his first year, his first full year in the NHL, to get 40 points in a team, a bottom dweller, last in the league, I think is pretty good.
I also want to give credit to Thomas Bordelot. We've
Oh yeah.
mentioned this several times that his first couple of years getting a sniff at the big club, you could see the potential, but you knew he wasn't ready. He was a little bit behind on plays. He just wasn't able to do what like he wanted to, but you could tell that he's like he can hack it. It's just he needs a little bit more time down in the AHL, and then we'll just kind of see. So, but yeah, when I went to the game on Thursday, me and my friend were talking about like Bortolo has improved a lot. Like, there were certain things that he was doing in that game where he might not have necessarily like generated like a play to score, but he was keeping it in his zone. He was doing certain things where he was like keeping possession along the boards, and like I recall like seasons past, you could tell that he's like trying to think faster about what to do, and then someone would get on him, like check him in the boards, he'd lose the puck, things like that. But like he's just kind of like his processing speed, he got an upgrade. And he just like he was out there, I think, on power play 1, and like those kids were just, it's all kids out on power play 1, and they're making it happen. Like our power play improved over the season. We're getting more on the power play, and he's one of the guys that is making it happen. I think it was on Saturday's game where he was right up in front of the net, and I think it was Eklund who was trying to pass behind the net, and and he got a shot off. He was trying to go top shelf, and who was in net? Hofer. He just kind of like reached over and snatched it. He did one of those like highlight reel, just snatched it out of the air. But it's like if you've got like some new kid in there, probably not getting that glove save, but it's just it's really exciting to see. Keep saying it like a broken record, like these little shining moments where it is difficult to be going through this, but I've just enjoyed like over the last couple of seasons, it's like we get these new kids, you see little glimpses of them, and you're like, okay, that's cool that they're out there. They may not be doing anything, so I don't really know how to feel. And then you remember that, and then we find ourselves here, and you're like, damn, I remember where I was a little uncertain. I was like reserved in my excitement, but now I get to be excited because I'm like, wow, look at these last couple of years. You have progressed so much, and they're so young, so their ceiling is like they haven't hit it yet. There's so much more to go. We also talked about Mario Ferraro. He's taken on such a huge role with Burns, Carlson being gone. I mean, Vlasic is kind of like coming back into himself a bit, but like Ferraro has been kind of the leader in terms of guys on defense.
Mm.
And like one of the comments I made on Thursday was, I remember Ferraro, if he gets caught in our zone and there's someone that is threatening, he would tend to kind of take a couple of strides and then just try to like flip it out of the zone. And we know what that could lead to. Sometimes some people could like get up along the board, stop it, and then keep it in the zone, and then it's not effective. But there was this play that he made that I remembered from that night where he got himself out of like behind the net. He went up along the boards, he got in a bit through the neutral zone, and then he made a play to get it out. He has worked so hard to improve him, ensuring that he makes a safer play to get the puck out of the zone. Like, and we could recall from like earlier this season, there's been a lot of like turnovers. There's been a lot of, like him Burns star fishing and everything like that. There's been a lot of criticism, Ferraro, especially because his ice time has gone up so much, but like he understands his role here in the Sharks. He wants to stay. And it's been really nice to also see him make such huge improvements.
I think,
and we know these guys are struggling to stay optimistic when they're out there.
I think that's a really good point you're making because I feel like we haven't heard about Ferraro much this season. Um, like we know that he's improved, but it's also been pretty quiet. Like people aren't paying as much attention to him. I don't know if it's because he doesn't have Carlson or Burns to be paired with or whatever. But there's something like there's this quote that I'm thinking of where if you're something like if you're doing something right, people won't notice type thing. I can't remember if that's the direct quote or whatever, but I was taught this for like in my animation classes or whatever. Like if people don't notice anything wrong with like whatever it is that you're producing up there, they won't say anything of it, then you're doing something right. Because if it looks good, it feels good, whatever it is. Like in sports, like with Ferraro, like you're not noticing all of these things, all these right things that he's doing to, keep the play alive or defending really well. And I think that's a testament to how much work that he's been putting in. I feel like also all the attention is on these really young guys coming up because it's exciting. Scoring goals is exciting. Like people don't pay as much attention to defensemen unless they're puck moving defensemen. Like they're really good offensively. So shout out to Ferraro. You're what am I trying to say? You're a real one. I don't know.
And that's why I go on these rants sometimes, because there are these little nuggets that I feel like people don't point out. Like it's so easy to just dunk on this team because it's like, yeah, as we can see, we are 32nd in the league. Can't imagine what that's all about. Let's just look at it on the surface and be like, well, yeah, look who they have on their rosters, a bunch of young kids and these other guys that are trying to, rework they've gone through slumps and now they're here to be a veteran presence, and then maybe they can rework the direction of their career. And it's like, oh, we could look at the fact that all of our retention slots are all used up and we've got these aging contracts. It's that I mean, if I could make money to just write up an article that is so quick, I literally just gave you all the information you need to be like, yeah, look at all the things, and you make it like a catchy little clickbait headline. Yeah, it's easy to dunk on the Sharks. What is not easy is all the stuff that we mentioned just now. So just not to toot our own horn here, but that is why for me specifically, I get really frustrated seeing these articles being written because there are so many great things that are happening
Do you want to
for
talk
this
about
team.
one of your favorite great things that has come about this season?
Clean Costin. Oh my god. I love him. I love
Yeah,
him.
won't shut up
Me and my
about him.
friend me and my friend in the second, just to make, because the Kings, as the Sharks do, they go down by several in the first. It's not anything surprising. There were a couple of like Kings fans that were like in the section next to us, and I just wanted to be like, what are you all getting excited about? This is nothing out of the ordinary. Of course you were gonna go up by 2. Like, come on now.
You should have placed
Get
a
a new
bet.
I know, for real, but but yeah, so we were like, okay, well, to make this experience a little more like interesting, like I'm feeling like the Sharks are going to score this period. So I asked my friend, who do you think is going to get that goal? Let's pick somebody. So he picked Costin, and that would have been my first choice. So then I was like, okay, you get Costin. I picked Zetterlund. Zetterlund was so close a few times that night. But then Clem Costin, I need to pull up his stats here because people need to know. Okay. And remember, we got Clean Costin with the trade for we sent away Redeem Shimmick, and we've already sung our praises for him. He was a great, for the time that he was here, but that initial hit that he took from Sam Bennett many seasons ago, and it's just been a rocky journey for him. And ever since he went down to the AHL, ever since this change of the guard for general manager happened, I just have seen the writing on the wall that I think Shimmick is not going to be here after this season. So, but we love you, Shimmick, and we wish you the best. We hope you find your way back to the NHL level. But in that exchange, we got someone who makes sense for the direction of this team. Clem Costin. He had, let's see, it says Clem Costin put the Sharks on the board that night with its 8th goal of the season, 5th as a Shark. He has 9 points in 13 games with San Jose.
Which is insane. He was on the AHL team for who do we get him from? I forgot.
Let's see.
It's just like me. I have short-term memory loss lately.
We got him from the Wings.
Ah, okay.
And I do believe he was on their AHL team.
The Griffins?
I don't know. I think his stats last show that he was with the big club. Oh. So, but whatever the case may have been when we acquired him, he makes more sense than us having. We have kind of this this traffic jam for our defense right now, and there's a lot of younger guys down there, so Redeem wasn't really going to have a future coming up unless we got severely injured. And even when people did go down in defense, because we've had a lot of injuries this season, he was not brought up at all.
Yeah.
But Costin is 24. He is originally a 31st overall pick for the St. Louis Blues in 2017. So I'm not entirely sure why he was kind of like bounced around, but whatever the case may be, he's getting an opportunity with us. He's a young kid, just going to have a lot of opportunity. He's up there on the top line. On Thursday, he got that goal late in the third, and he almost had another one to tie it up, and we just couldn't make it happen. But like, he's kind of just like, if you watch him really closely, he just has a lot of potential, very high hockey IQ, and he's a big kid. There was one moment where they were lining up, and it was like him, Granlund, and Zetterlund. And we were on the side where like he was closest, and then like the rest of the lineup. And I was like, is it just the perspective that makes him look so much bigger than Granlund? Or and I had to look it up, and Clem Costin is 6'3", and I believe Granlund is 5'10". So I was like, oh, yeah. No wonder he looks absolutely huge next to him. Yeah. But yeah, he's a big kid, and he knows how to use his body. So
that's funny. I have been very happy and pleasantly surprised with some of these trades that Greer has been making, where these kids come in and they're immediately making an impact. Because I feel like in the past, from when I started watching hockey or the Sharks, I feel like it's been opposite. Like, we get excited for this trade, like they're supposed to be really good, whatever, and for whatever reason, they have a really slow start, or they just don't pan out on the team at all, for whether it's the system or, you know, mental health reasons that we don't know about, whatever the case may be. I feel like it's never really worked in the Sharks' favor for the most part. Um, Erik Karlsson being a big big one. Like, you know how long it took him to make a huge impact on the team. Well, that first season he did really well, and then he kind of fell off for a bit. But anyways, it's really nice to see these new guys coming on, and you know, these trades happen not just for the betterment of the team, but for the players as well. Like, at least with the Sharks front office, because I don't keep up with anyone else's. They try to do well by the players, and the trades usually, they try to take in consideration what's good for the players as well. Like with Shimmick, he wasn't going to get any playing time on the big club anymore. Send him somewhere where they need defensemen or whatever, and hopefully he can make the big club over there, right? Uh, Klim Kostin, like, I don't know why he wasn't playing much on the Red Wings, but during one of his first interviews with the Sharks, they asked him, like, what's the difference between over there and here, and he's like, ice time. You know, he wasn't getting as much ice time on the Wings, and he is here, and he's making a huge impact, and that's always really nice to see.
And like, not knowing too much about the everything that's going on with the Red Wings, I know for quite some time they were doing their own rebuild, and so maybe it's just as simple as that they've just got a lot of, like, up and coming, prospects and, now talent. I mean, we know that there's a number of folks on their current roster that have come up through their system, and maybe it's just a matter of just like he's not getting a crack because they're fine with what they've got up there right now. And, just kind of, going back to what you're saying, that this just seems like a good move for like both parties. So I do want to give a shout out to Corey Masisek. He was our former beat writer for The Athletic for that time last season when he was with San Jose. And as things happen, they no longer have a dedicated beat reporter for The Athletic for San Jose. So he kind of got let go, and he went on to, now he's covering the Avs. But, I still follow him, and I still adore when he sings our praises. He's still looking out for us. He's still, telling us that he's got hope for us. And, so once again, great to see people who actually follow this team are seeing what we're seeing.
Yeah.
He said yesterday, in response to the Eklund hat trick and everything like that, he said, well, yeah, Eklund has arrived. Will Smith has 1 million points on the best NCAA team in the country. A top 3 pick is coming. Maybe a top 11 through 16 one this year as well. A couple other prospects have had huge years. We know notably Will Smith. We know notably Quentin Musty. And then a couple of games ago, they brought up Bysted.
Mm-hmm.
He got 2 goals, and I think he got an assist as well in that game. So, it's like a lot of these little things that people are not giving, credit where due, that there's guys up and coming. Like, this rebuild is going as well as we could hope. That
Yeah.
we've got some things to be excited about for the future. We've got some stuff that is being that's exciting on the ice right now. We're making moves to get more picks for more prospects. We're moving out our contracts and our players that don't fit for the future of this team. And so, to end his initial tweet, he says, "It's not as bleak in San Jose as some have suggested."
He's just he should have just added whoever he was referring to, honestly.
Say their name, Corey. Say their name.
I love him. He was my favorite.
We know who they are.
He's so great. Oh, thanks, Corey. Always a fan. So honest.
You wanna sing some praises for what Cheng Peng's been talking about?
Which one?
You got Cheng Peng spoke to numerous NHL scouts about the Sharks' top 10 prospects.
I accidentally closed that tab. That's why I was like, which one are we talking about? Yeah, so just because we've been on the topic of Sharks rebuild, I like went through this article pretty quickly. Shang talked to a few scouts to get their opinions on our top 10 prospects. And he listed he has a top 10 list, but he also said that he might, at this point in the season, he would move some around. I don't remember if we touched on this earlier in the season because I don't watch our previous episodes. I'm just kidding. But the top 10 goes like this. So at 10 we have Casper Holtonen, number 9 Cam Lund, 8 Thomas Bordeleau, which he later says that he would probably move up on the list. 7 Daniel Gushchin, 6 Henry Thrun, 5 Philip Bystead, 4 David Edstrom, which honestly I don't remember how we got him. My bad. 3 Quentin Musty, 2 Shakir Mukamadulin, and then 1 Will Smith. He also asked about prospects not on this list, like Luca Cagnoni, Colin Graff, Ethan Cardwell, and I think that was it. And he doesn't actually touch on what the scouts think of Will Smith, but I'm sure they all have great things to say about the kid. He's doing really well. But you know, we were talking about Cagnoni the other day, and it's really frustrating seeing what these scouts have to say. But I'll read it. I'll read what they said. So scout number 1 says Cagnoni is a stud. He's just really short, closer to 5'8" or 5'9", but he's really good. Scout number 2 said certainly has a chance, but don't see NHL impact. Ceiling is Kalen Addison. Small, not dynamic for the NHL, just not a move the needle guy likely, which I thought was interesting because that's not what I've seen myself, but what do I know? I'm not an NHL scout. Scout number 3. Cagnoni is really effing good, man, but there are a lot of good players there in the Shark system, and he's tiny. Number 11 on this list is solid for him, not forgotten, but not ahead of some of these guys like Holton or NHL games played like Bordeleau. So these guys are saying he's really good, but he won't make an impact on the NHL because he's small at 5'8", which to me is tall because I'm very small. It's just so frustrating that they think small guys won't make an impact. Like, how many small guys are in this league that do make an impact? Isn't like Joe Pavelski one of those guys? He's not a fast skater. He's not tall.
Joe's like 5'11", I think.
I think he might be shorter than that. I've seen him in person off of skates. I think he's shorter than 5'11".
Let's see.
Either way,
he's 6'1". So
no way. He's not 6. He's not 6.
It says 6'1"
on skates, maybe
right here. Well, either way, he's definitely taller than you. So, but here's the thing. We're talking about how they're harping about, oh, he's small, just like we talked about earlier with
who, Granlund?
What is his name? Yeah, no, Colin Graff.
Oh,
he was overlooked because he's small and didn't get drafted in his draft year. How tall is he? He is.
Do they say?
Why is it not showing me how tall he is?
Do mention him.
What the heck? He's 6 foot, and they're like, short.
Maybe he grew in the last couple seasons since his draft year.
But here's what I'm leading up to. Them going on about how, oh, he's tiny, won't make a difference, blah blah blah. You know who is also tiny and has made a huge difference for his team? Brad Marchand.
Yeah, see, it's like,
You're
why?
gonna go and tell Brad that he is too small to make a difference. He will probably slew foot you and punch
Into
you in the
oblivion.
face. You know who's also tiny and made an impact in particular to Elias Pettersson a couple of weeks back?
Who?
You have him on your fantasy team.
Me? I do? I don't have any Canucks on my team.
5'8" Cole Caulfield.
Oh, him. Yes. Yes. Look,
Drafted 15th overall in the first round in 2018.
look,
But, you know, we can continue talking about how short people don't make an impact in this league.
listen.
It is.
I will always speak up for the shorties as a short person myself. I was always, and not to toot my own horn here, but I was always one of the better people on my teams for volleyball or soccer, whatever it was. Like, your height has nothing to do with skills, and that's so frustrating to see in this league, that they value the size of a player so much to draft them or to sign them or whatever it is. Like, get over yourselves.
And you know why you probably don't remember how we acquired David Edstrom?
Why? Did he come in the hurdle trade? I just blocked that whole trade. Yep, that's what I remember. That makes sense. That didn't happen. Hurdle is still on IR. He's coming back this season.
I'm sure.
Ah, the frustration. Anyways, all these scouts have pretty relatively good things to say for most of these guys, except for Lund. Poor guy. Philip Bystead, I think, was one of those guys that everyone kind of questioned why the Sharks drafted him in the first round when we got him. It's like, you could have got all these other players that are so much better. And then I think the following season he started showing up and being like, oh, maybe they had a point. And then now it's like, I don't think I felt any way towards him. It was just like, okay, we have him. Let's see what he can do. But I wasn't like excited or disappointed with him. But I'm starting to feel a little excited now because of even just the one game that he played with the Cuda earlier in the week. So yeah, I don't know, man. This is fun. Let's see. For Mokamadulin, I'll just cover a couple. They had said, the first scout said that he's more valuable than Quentin Musty because he's proven at pro level and he's a long two-way defenseman. Still guarded on Musty because he has immaturities, wants to see him in the pro first, big and talented kid for sure, but still has some doubts over how he translates. Scout number 3 said that he'd take Musty over Mokamadulin. There's inherent value to big mobile demon these days that can probably play in your top 4 like Shakir, but Musty has a chance to be a legit dominant scoring winger. High skill, I'd give him the edge. So it's like these scouts can't even agree on who's better on like our prospect list, which is kind of cool because that means that they're all good. I'm excited for our future, dude. I don't care how shitty this season has been. We have some good stuff on the way.
Yeah, like I said, it's just a different way to go into following the team. Like we you know, as like a sports fan, you want to come in there and you want to see an exciting team. You want to see goals, you want to see the wins. And for a new fan, I feel like it's understandable if you're just like, oh, I mean, this team doesn't seem very exciting. You know, I can see that, but like if you're a fan that's been following the team for a while and you know, you kind of have to shift your gears a little bit and kind of find a new direction to find excitement in. It's not going to necessarily come from getting to go to a game and getting to get up and cheer for every goal, but you know, it's like watching this team from the perspective of you've got all these new guys up and coming and they are improving before our eyes, and we get to now see them come up to the big club and take the roles that we would have otherwise, been used to seeing, like a Brett Burns, like an Eric Carlson, Couture when he's healthy, like all these guys that are established and, and then they've got the up and coming kids like next to them to slot in. But now the up and coming kids are the ones that are taking the reins, and the veterans there are there to support them and to lead them in the right direction. Like I'll give praise to Henry Thrun in the beginning of the season. He was still getting his feet wet. He needed, a little more support from his defensive partner. But in the last couple of games specifically, I've been watching that like Thrun has really starting to make an impact, holding his own. Yeah, he's still gonna make some mistakes, but that's just the nature of coming to this game and having to take on a bigger role. And a team that's in a rebuild, like he is gonna still get more ice time versus on a team that maybe has a lot of that is trying to secure a playoff spot, and maybe they're like, oh, we're gonna bench you this time because we can't afford your mistakes. Well, it's like, no, it's your time to learn from your mistakes, and we're gonna put you right back out there, and this is your time to grow. So yeah, it's just I'm excited to continue watching this team from that perspective. It's just been a little bit of a take some time to get to to get over the fact that like, yeah, we're gonna see a lot of losses, but just a lot of exciting things that we're getting to experience.
Yep, we're winning the cup next season. Just you wait. Just kidding.
Okay. Okay.
Wishful thinking.
So as much as I'd love to continue talking about the Sharks, I am gonna shift gears to something that I came across this week that I initially didn't think that there was any like big conversation that it generated from. I just thought that like people were continuing to look down upon women's sports in general, because that happens pretty often. Well, I haven't encountered anybody on socials that is like, oh, name X amount of players, blah blah blah, to show that you're such a big sports fan and whatever. So I was seeing a lot of people commenting about like, oh, name 5 women in professional sports and whatever. And I just thought like, oh, people are just being dumb as usual. But then I saw this tweet and I'm like, oh, some idiot was the source, some rather significant idiot, not just some random troll on the internet. This significant person was Bobby Ryan.
Okay, quick question.
So
Bobby Ryan, this the former NHL player who played on the Ottawa Senators, Bobby Ryan,
and also played on the Anaheim Ducks.
the one who had to take a leave from the game because he had to get sober, Bobby Ryan.
And same Bobby Ryan that despite the fact that he originally was drafted and played on the Anaheim Ducks, so we had that whole rivalry with like, God damn it, they have Bobby Ryan. Oh, I hate this guy. Blah blah blah. And then he got traded to the Senators, and then there were a number of times where we felt sympathy for him because he was outspoken about the things that he was struggling with. He also had a very troubling childhood, things like that, and you start feeling for these players, but then turns out he's super misogynistic.
Which is crazy. I don't feel bad for you at all anymore. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, and it's like, ugh. But apparently he was a host on some senators' related podcast. That podcast has since said that he will no longer be
Huh,
on their panel.
that's funny.
I believe this was the initial tweet. I don't know what the conversation that like generated all of this, but he had tweeted this out and then later deleted it and said, "Guys, holy hell, relax. It's 8:43 and I want to go home and pretend like women's sports are a thing." Yeah.
I just,
So,
but they are a thing. What do you mean? Like, how does someone who comes from sports, who play professionally, say that when you live in a world where the US women's soccer team is so like successful and thriving? Like, how many championships do they have? How are you gonna put women's sports down, especially when in a season where there's a new professional women's hockey team or league, sorry, that's starting, that everyone is so excited about? I don't understand how.
it happens when you're misogynistic.
Yeah, I don't understand how their logic works.
But yeah, screw you, Bobby Ryan, or something. I don't know. Like you could literally just like let people be, but instead you're like, God, like who gives a shit about women's sports?
well, a lot of
Like,
people do.
okay, I guess who gives a shit about Bobby Ryan and wasting my time being sorry for you?
Yeah, like I want to give me my sympathy back. You can't have it anymore. That's
How
so
dare you
annoying.
make me feel sympathetic towards a Ducks player?
Like that's the worst of the things that we listed about him.
How dare you? Ugh.
Gross. That's just like,
Anyways,
that's so icky. I don't like him. I'm over it.
but let's talk about things we do like, though.
Okay.
The Alphabet Sports Collective has put out a job inquiry. They say we have exciting news to share. We are officially hiring. Alphabet Sports Collective is looking for an experienced professional to join the team as our executive director. So learn more and apply by April 26th of this year. So head on out, find that tweet, go to their website, join and apply. Whatever, if you fit the bill. I believe they're looking specifically for someone who is based out in Canada. So if that is someone who listens to this podcast, go and check that out. Go and make a difference. Go help out. And
I have a question.
that's pretty much what
What does an executive director do?
executive things.
Thank you. It clarifies everything for me.
Well, on this tweet, it says strong project management expertise. I don't know. Are you looking to move to Canada to get hired?
Again? I don't know.
Lead our organization in advancing our strategic goals, community engagement, and program initiatives. So you're pretty much making Alphabet Sports Collective happen.
That's a lot of responsibility.
So if you like a lot of responsibility and making change and getting annoying people like Bobby Ryan to sit down and shut the hell up,
this job is for you.
This is the role for you.
Sold. I'll apply tomorrow. Just kidding. I don't have these qualifications. Project management. It's stressful.
And finally, I just wanted to, wow, what a lovely segue from shitty Bobby Ryan. The The U.S. women's national soccer team put out a tweet the other day that they just got the largest crowd ever to watch a domestic U.S. women's national team friendly and the largest crowd for any U.S. women's national team home match since 1999's FIFA Women's World Cup final.
Wait.
That number...
Wait. Because Bobby Ryan basically said, who cares about women's sports?
He said he was going to go home and pretend
yeah, but
that he watches or whatever women's sports.
Tell me how many people care about women's sports. What is this number?
Well, the number of people who went out in attendance at that game alone was 50,644 for a friendly. They're not even going for the cup yet. And these people went, I need to watch them right here and now.
Who did they play?
They played...
I can't see the picture. It's too little.
I can't zoom into this. Oh, there we go.
It's okay. It's not important. It's just, it's...
No idea.
It's nice
I don't recognize that. Doesn't even matter. But... And this was in Atlanta.
Oh. Wow! Atlanta. Yep. That's great. It's almost like people do care about women's sports.
Yep, just goes to show that Bobby Ryan does not know what he's talking about.
Too many punches to the head or something.
Too many somethings. But yeah, so women's sports. That's mic drop. That's women's sports.
Women's sports. That's gonna be the title of the episode. Like majority spent talking about the Sharks, but women's sports. That's what matters.
50,644 people said Bobby Ryan doesn't know what he's talking about.
Specifically him.
In this one game alone said, who the fuck is Bobby Ryan?
Honestly, I really had to search in there to remember who he was. So,
any closing thoughts?
Yes, but it has nothing to do with what we talked about. Because I just want to give a shout out to all our online hockey friends. Because what is the face for?
Continue.
Anyways, okay, so Jay decided to put this little thing together for my birthday, and then all of our hockey friends contributed, and I just want to give a shout out and let the world know that they're awesome. That's all.
Adorable.
Anyways.
All right. As always, I am your host, Jay.
I'm Nessa. Thanks for joining us. Bye.
Bye.